If you guys wouldn't mind, please come take your seats.
All right, everyone, if you could find a seat, we'll get started. Lots of seats still available up front. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Little breezy day out here in Livermore. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to the first liquid natural gas powered test flight in the United States. It's a groundbreaking technological breakthrough that Savion's made possible. My name is Brandon Cardwell. I'm the executive director of an organization called the iGate Innovation Hub, and we are dedicated to making the Tri-Valley among the best places in the world to start and grow a business. Switch Labs, our hardware and life sciences incubator in downtown Livermore, has been supporting the Savion team really since inception. In fact, I remember my first interactions with John. He was still in Germany getting his PhD, and often we were scrambling to try to arrange Skype calls, usually when one of us had just woken up. So it was so I'm really pleased to be here today, and it's been a great honor for me to watch as the Savion team has gone from just a crazy idea to developing the relationship with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, to building a prototype, to getting first investment, to building out the rest of the team, and now here for the first test flight of their technology. It's a great privilege and honor for me to have been a part of that journey with them, and we're so happy they're doing it here in Livermore. Someone else who's got great pride in the Livermore community is our mayor, John Marchand, who's here with us today, and I want to invite him up as well to welcome everyone and share a few words. Thanks.
Okay, so as the mayor of Livermore, it is my great privilege to work with a lot of really smart people, both people at the laboratories, at iGate, and also with the city itself. Savion Aerospace is leveraging some of those great assets and resources that we have here in Livermore. Our laboratories are very popular and strategically located airport, and our startup-friendly community and our culture to bring groundbreaking new technology to market. As residents of the iGate Switch Labs incubator in downtown Livermore, Savion has access to the Bay Area startup and investment ecosystem, while being surrounded by a supportive community of scientists, engineers turned entrepreneurs. During the Great Recession, the laboratories, actually visionaries from the laboratories and from the Tri-Valley cities came together to create the incubator, with its mission being to turn great ideas into great businesses that would therefore create more jobs and greater investment. Savion's founders, applying their unique skills, are solving global challenges such as greenhouse gas emissions. And there he goes. greenhouse gas emissions by the air travel industry. Perhaps that's why they fit so well right here in Livermore. Livermore's been using science and innovation to solve the world's most difficult problems for the last 60 years. So thank you very much. With that, I have a proclamation, actually a certificate of congratulations to Savion Aerospace. The city of Livermore wishes you success and prosperity in our community and congratulates you on your test flight. So with that. Certainly, absolutely. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. It's a really exciting time. Thank you, Mayor Marchand and Brandon, for the introduction and for housing us at iGate. It's been a great community for us to kind of grow and take our crazy idea to something more real and to this day today. So I'd like to talk briefly about natural gas. LNG. Why LNG? There's a number of compelling reasons why this is a fuel source for our airplane. Firstly, natural gas is compared to typical aviation fuel, avgas, which is kerosene, is a different kind of molecule, single carbon as opposed to a long carbon chain. What that means is that you have much more energy per unit mass. So the amount of energy you need to travel a certain distance, our fuel is going to be lighter. However, it comes at the cost of volume. It's roughly double the volume in liquid form as you would for kerosene. So that means a different thing in how we carry the airplane on board the airplane. Carry the fuel on board the airplane. So LNG then is a cryogenic fuel because we cool it down to a mild minus 260 degrees F Fahrenheit. And at that size, at that temperature and pressure, we can carry it in a specialized container. We have proprietary licensed technology to this fuel tank technology, and the fuel will be carried inside the body of the airplane. Okay? There are a number of great things that then also result from this. From the airplane's point of view, this is a cleaner fuel. We expect the engines will survive for 25% longer consuming this fuel, which is much cleaner than avgas. In addition, the emissions are 80% fewer using liquefied natural gas. Okay? So that's the idea behind it. Aside from that, we're carrying the fuel inside the body of the airplane. The remainder of the airplane is unchanged. Wings, larger body to carry the fuel. The rest is what you would be familiar with. All right? We'll be licensing this technology to ourselves to design, build, and manufacture Savion airplanes. You know, it was interesting. Almost 5 years ago, John and I, we started talking about this project. I met John a long while back in university. We both went to MIT together, and we worked at Boeing in Washington State in the Everett facility for 2 years. He went off to graduate school. I moved down to the Bay Area and worked in different areas, and we started communicating again while he was in Germany. I had an idea to enter the drone space. He had this idea, and we always kind of said whichever idea grew wings first, we would get behind the other. And, well, it's come a long way, and he really sold me on the idea of funding and developing this airplane in Silicon Valley, because unlike our competitors, we could do it much faster than going to NASA or the EU. So it's very similar to the story of the Wright brothers. Not only did they have to be ingenious about finding creative solutions to many different problems, they also did it at 1/10 the budget of their competitor, Samuel Langley, who was government funded. And so in a similar way, that's why we've chosen Silicon Valley, and specifically Livermore and the airport community here as the home of our development project. Any questions, thoughts? And if you saw that blue and white airplane making a lot of noise passing by, that's our test airplane. This one, no. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get a chance to go touch it. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce now my co-founder and one of my best friends, Johnican Gibbs.
Thanks everybody for coming. I think I've interacted with quite a bit of you. You're here for a reason. So, and also thank you to Adrian and Lauren and to the Aviat team. So the first part is really important. We didn't just fly the first LNG flights in the US today. We're not the only startup trying to innovate in the fixed wing aircraft space. This is not a science project. Part of the reason we're able to do this for 1/10 of the funding that other startups need for, to get a flight in the air or even not even do that is because we had first a great design and a concept that was cost efficient, and also because we had the Aviat team. You'll meet them in a second, but a lot of this is really due to their clever problem solving and their ingenuity. We came here probably Friday night and Saturday night. It took us one day to actually figure out how to fill up the tank. And then another day to figure out how to get the engine running. Had a little bit lower power than we expected, so we tinkered and we fiddled and we got it up to the point where it's flying today. So this is a combination of having a good idea combined with a great problem solver. So I'd just like to say a quick thank you to the Aviat team for partnering with us and getting us 1/10 of getting us 10 times further than we would have gotten on our own. So thank you to Aviat. They're over there hanging out. We'll meet them in a second. So the second part of this, I want to talk about what this means for the economic opportunities. Like I said, this is not a science project. It's not just for fun. In the U.S., we import about half of our jet fuel. And it got to a head around 2008 when Adrian and I were working at Boeing. So at Boeing, we went there to make aircraft 1% better a year, maybe 20% better, so that everybody could fly cheaply, go on Southwest, for instance. But in 2008, oil went up by 100%. So what's the point of working on 1%? And so when I went back to grad school, I started looking for solutions, started with hydrogen and a few other things, but we came up with natural gas. So natural gas is half the cost. That means it's a generation better than what Boeing and Airbus can do on their own, not because they're bad engineers, but because they're working with the wrong commodity. Natural gas is produced domestically. It's regulated by, supply and demand, not a cartel, not by speculation. And so just from that market change, we're able to actually leapfrog the $8 billion a year Boeing and Airbus spend on R&D and get a better cost, right? So what are we going to do with that? We spent a long time, most of my time in Germany was trying to figure out how to bring that to market. So we started out with supersonic planes, which are going to be too expensive. We went to turboprops, which nobody actually wanted to buy. And I realized a lot of the research was happening without really any market validation, and that's kind of where Silicon Valley came in. So what we're going to build is a service with those kind of jets, but they leave every 15 minutes, just like the BART. Probably better than the BART. I actually think we'll get to Livermore before the BART does, but we'll see. So think of catching a jet every 15 minutes from a terminal like that and going to Chicago, New York, Texas, wherever you have to go, not just to downtown San Francisco. That's what we're going to build. The second part of it is going to be a point-to-point network. So you won't have to stop in a hub like Texas or Atlanta to get where you have to go. It'll just go straight there. The last part of it is you get a free private jet fare miles. And actually, most of you, when I asked you about this, that was the thing you wanted most, a better leisure experience. Because at the end of the day, you work to live. You don't live to work, right? So in our model, we're flying almost as often as Southwest, but we set aside some hours for each person to have their own, about 4 hours of private jet experience every year for your loyalty points. And that's how we're going to get you to switch. So going over there and taking a private jet is going to be the same cost as going to Delta. And that wouldn't be possible without cheap natural gas, and it wouldn't be possible without one other quick innovation, which I'll talk about today for the first team. 5 jets. So no more big crowds to get on the plane, just you and 5 other people, or just you and your family even. So the last way that's possible is with an innovation that we like to be called remote piloting. We're going to be flying from a tablet like your iPad, and we've got some special technology that listens to your traffic control and lets us talk back to them from the ground using the existing VHF system. I think Airbus today, with their A3 project, had a job advertisement for a whole new air traffic management system. They're literally trying to build a whole cell phone network for airplanes. We're going to use the same bandwidth that we have now over data link and VHF with our software. So next year, this thing will be flying around, but from a tablet from somebody in Ohio somewhere, not from a pilot on board. And that's how we're putting those two things together will get us all the way to the service that we talked about, leaving every 15 minutes. So in order to do that, we have another secret weapon. She's been a secret weapon for our military for some time, but also is now an airline pilot and still works in the military a little bit. So I'd like to bring up Lauren Johnican to talk about how we're going to do remote piloting.
Hello and welcome. Lauren Johnican. So as John was saying, I am both the manned and unmanned pilot, both in the military and commercial airlines. So what have I experienced with using and operating both platforms have been kind of different. Being the unmanned side, obviously, it's still relatively new, and there's a lot of new, I guess, human factors having to deal with crew resource management. When I flew manned aircraft, or still fly manned aircraft, you have that team already put together right there in person, and you act immediately. You see each other, you communicate, not even using your words sometimes. So you don't always have that luxury when you're flying an unmanned aircraft. And so utilizing your different resources in a virtual way ends up being a little bit more of a technique and skill that you're having to drill more on. Whereas in the manned aircraft, it naturally comes, just from the way they communicate with another human being. So I'm here to help bridge that gap, both on the training side, the human factor side, in order to understand what the manned platform and the unmanned platform bring and how to incorporate that together. So with Savion, in the cockpit, having that unmanned person, your first officer may be an unmanned pilot, whereas your captain may be a manned pilot, so actually in the aircraft. So again, using that team building, that human resources, and the different ways to utilize the skill sets from both different platforms together. So, yeah, thank you. So still working on the FAA side on how all of that's going to be incorporated. Yep. So, cool.
Thank you. So yeah, it'll take about a year before we do that, and we're working with the FAA from the beginning. The thing about our team, with our chief engineer having certified 7 aircraft, all of us have worked with the FAA before, and I would say what we've emphasized is that FAA certification experience. So we will be the first to do this, the first to get regulated to do this. We might not be the first to demonstrate everything, but we will be the first to do this because we have the experience and the way to advocate for it. The last part of this is getting enough pilots in there. There's a pilot shortage in the United States right now, and all around the world. Part of what we're going to be working on is getting pilots that are flying unmanned aircraft in the Air Force also into our aircraft as well. And this will be a transition for them to have a very good flying career, even though they chose to do a manned aircraft in the military. So with that, I'd like to end the program. We can all go down and take a look at the aircraft. And after that, we're going to head out to Gibbs and have some drinks and some appetizers. So thanks so much, everybody.
All right, guys, if you wouldn't mind start walking toward the restaurant, we're going to move on to the next portion here.
Everybody, it's to the right. If you start walking towards the Jets, there's a restaurant at the end of the field where we'll have some light drinks and refreshments.
But I'm caught in a feeling. I hear echoes that whisper our names. City streetlights that illuminate. And when we're walking, I'm talking too much. Easy to get me caught in a rush. Together it's never enough. It's like all those nights we fell in love. I'm feeling it over again. So caught in it, don't let it end. You and me, we don't have no regrets. Take me back, I don't wanna forget. Take me back to the nights we never felt more alive. All the time that we spent running through the silhouettes. It was all that we knew when we had nothing to lose. Put it all on the line. Run away with me tonight. Let's run away. Throw plans you've made away. Keep your eyes on me tonight. Let's run away to yesterday. Just say you'll run away with me tonight. I know it's not all in my head. I can see when you talk with your feelings that you're wishing it would never end. Don't have to let it go, we can be fearless. When we're walking, you're talking too much. Easy to get you caught in a rush. Together it's never enough. Don't it all feel like falling in love? You say, I'm feeling it over again. So caught in it, don't let it end. You and me, we don't have no regrets. Take me back, I don't wanna forget. Take me back to the nights we never felt more alive. All the time that we spent running through the silhouettes. It was all that we knew when we had nothing to lose. Put it all on the line. Run away with me
Hi, everybody. If we could get everyone back onto the airport building, we're going to walk over to Gibbs and finish up there. Hi, everybody. Can we get everybody to come back into the building? We're going to walk over to a restaurant and wrap up there. We've got to get off the tarmac. Do you know where Gibbs is, Brandon? Yeah. Are you? We're all going to follow Brandon. Brandon, wave your hands. Brandon's going to take us to the restaurant.